Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I forgot how to talk. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of Prepping 101. I'm going to be talking about the government's new plan, Exercise Turnstone. No, I'm not making that up, guys. That is not something from Jason Bourne movies. That is what they're talking about, guys. That's a real name, and I'm going to be sharing that with the mainstream. This has been out like a couple of hours old. Exercise Turnstone. People need to get ready for 6 weeks because guess what? There are secret government plans and they have been confirmed. So what I'm going to do in this live stream, I'm going to give my analysis. I'm going to talk about Exercise Turnstone, which was run by the Cobra team, Cabinet Office Briefing Room Alpha, in some sort of secret government emergency plans. And this is what they're telling us on the mainstream media. I'm also going to go into this and I'm going to talk about what they're missing because, and this is what happens in these government meetings. They don't look, they're very blinkered. They're very blinkered. For example, you go into the government meetings and you say, right, okay, I don't know, the British military needs a new drone, and that drone, it's easy to work out. That drone has to have a range of 1,000 kilometers, right? They will say, right, good, blinkered, right? If you tell them that there's a drone here and its range is 999 kilometers, but it's 1/10 of the price, they're not interested because that's not in the blinkers. So I do believe we're heading towards a perfect storm. Food shortages, crime, cyber wars, civil unrest, sabotage, war in the East, all these things are heading towards us right now in real time. So first of all, what is in fact, hang on, let me just refresh that. Right, I'll share this with you guys now because this is out on the mainstream media. Exercise Turnstone, the leaked plan amid threats of Iran war food shortages. Now, this is where the plan itself is limited because it's only focusing on the shortages, the turmoil from the Iran war. They're not looking at anything else, right? So I am going to go through this. And then once I've talked about Exercise Turnstone, we're going to be talking about a 6-week preparation. A 6-week preparation tin to get ready. 6 weeks preparation tin to get ready. Because all these things are coming in. What do I mean by 6 weeks? Just real quick, guys. Okay, if you've got the TikTok mind and you only want to be on for a couple of minutes, this is due to kick in June this year. The most reasonable worst case scenario is this all kicks off in June, and I do think that is a fair assessment. A lot of things will be happening then. So just imagine right now, before I get onto this, because I will be exploring this in depth, granularly. Just imagine right now that it's a 6 weeks holidays, right? 6 weeks holidays, and day one of 6 weeks holidays, everything goes off. You've got no, the supermarkets are closed, no fuel at the petrol station, your gas and electricity has gone off, and there's no water when you turn the tap. How do you cope? I know that is unlikely, all those things going off, but, just try and consider that because that's what we're going to be talking about today, guys. So I've just shared it with you. So this is clearly not scaremongering. This is straight from a secret government plan that's been revealed. Now, a thing about these secret government plans, when they get revealed for a reason, right? It's a soft disclosure. It's a soft disclosure so not everyone panics. The code name is Exercise Turnstone. No, I'm not making that up. Which was run by the Cobra Room, which is Cabinet Office Briefing Room Alpha, the government's emergency committee with senior officials from Downing Street, the Treasury, the Ministry of Defence. They've war-gamed a reasonable worst-case scenario for June 2026. That's when you need to be considering. And that's when the 6 weeks holidays is, guys. Okay, so I will keep repeating this, right? Because I know people jump in and jump out. Get yourselves ready for the 6 weeks holidays. It will make it less stress anyway. Now, what they're saying is, if the Iran conflict drags on, which it will, Absolutely. There's no, when this started, I said it was going to be 3 years minimum before and I don't mean it's going to stop in 3 years. I don't mean there's going to be any change in 3 years. What I mean is, like, just don't expect anything until 3 years and then readdress it in 3 years. So if the Iran conflict continues, which it will, like I said, and the Strait of Hormuz stays blocked, which it will, certainly by June, right? We will see serious shortages of food in our supermarkets this summer. That's what they're saying. That is what they're saying, guys. That's not me speculating. That's what the government are saying. The trigger is a collapse in carbon dioxide supplies. Now, this is crazy. I'm not going to go into this too much because I ranted about this like earlier on, like on my last live stream. I ranted on about this earlier. I was like, right, hang on a minute. So we're destroying ourselves for net zero to bring the carbon CO2 levels down. But now there's no CO2. We need more CO2. So now we're having food shortages because there's not enough CO2. Now, CO2 is what keeps meat fresh, stuns animals in slaughterhouses, puts the fizz in your drink, and it's a major component to healthy plants. They're saying if one of the major UK plants goes down, and I'm going to just throw the word sabotage out there, European fertilizer plants will be hammered by sky-high gas prices, and suddenly the supply chain snaps. Now, we're already facing these, we've not even seen the start of it yet. We're already seeing these prices at the pumps. Diesel is over £2 a litre. Petrol quickly catching up. Farmers planning protests. Red diesels now, as I understand it, rationed in some areas. This is what's happening now. And now with the likelihood of empty shelves, or at least, some bare shelves, higher prices, less choice. And this is not a prediction of total collapse. This is a prediction of a rapidly deteriorating situation. Now, here's the real warning, okay? Because these things are not happening in isolation. And the government advice, the government plan doesn't go into look, guys, the government are not going to go into this as in depth as I would have. I'd have added all the outside factors, right? So that's direct response to the war in Iran, right? Now, there's contributing factors to this. There's bigger ripple waves, okay? So we're already seeing a huge spike in crime in the United Kingdom. And I'm just going to say a certain gang crime. I'm just going to leave it there. As the cost of living crisis bites harder, shoplifting is going up, right? Shoplifting's going up. These youth gangs are organizing these link-ups, flash mobs on the streets, swarming, looting, setting fires, fireworks. These things will escalate as people get desperate, people get hungry, angry, frustrations grow, 6 weeks holidays, kids are off school, nobody's got any money, that's where we're heading to, right? Now, if you add into the mix as well, protests, farmers blockading roads over fuel, furious gatherings in Epsom demanding answers, the tinderbox is lit, food shortages on top of that. Experts have been warning for months that the United Kingdom is one shock away from food riots, water riots, fuel riots, serious civil unrest. When people can't feed their kids affordably, when people don't trust the police, when people, are struggling for housing, trust will evaporate, crime will rise, it will organize, and things will just deteriorate. Oh, yeah, and it gets worse still. Yeah. While Iran is dominating the headlines now, Ukraine is still burning. The war in Eastern Europe is, and look, guys, this is just me speculating. Literally any day now, If it happened today, I wouldn't be surprised. If it happened tomorrow, I wouldn't be surprised. Any day now, the whole media attention is going to be looking back at Ukraine. Potentially Estonia and Narva. The war in Ukraine is not stopped. It's not stopped. They are attacking each other's energy grids, attacking each other's grain and fertilizer exports. If we see further escalations, or not even escalations, just the direction of travel that we're going, and I fear it will escalate, it has to, we will get hit with a double whammy. Even tighter global food supplies, another energy price surge, slamming into the Britain at the exact same time of the crisis as the Strait of Hormuz. Two wars, one supply chain that is absolutely broken. And Britain dangling like a little dangler out there, or, you know, a little island on our own. We are going to be last in the queue. So the perfect storm that the government have been secretly modeling, and I'll share this with you guys again. This is on the headlines, Exercise Turnstone. So the government have been secretly modeling without factoring those, those contingencies. Empty shelves on the in the supermarkets, skyrocketing prices for what's left, price gouging, fuel shortages, desperate families, link-up cultures exploiting the chaos. Because think about it, if there's a fuel shortage, you know, the emergency, like we saw the footage last night, right, in Epsom, right? We saw the footage last night in Epsom, and those vehicles, those police vehicles that were there, they will have been, they will run on diesel, right? They will run on diesel. So at some point, if the country is having a diesel shortage, which it will be, they're going to have to start to prioritize call-outs. So maybe not every crime will be called out. And I'm going to throw this one out there. This is just my speculation. This link-up culture where they go into the supermarkets and steal things, that will be classed as non-essential, because that will be classed as shoplifting, even though it's like en masse and like people are going through these shops like locusts. They'll just put that down to shoplifting, and they will claim on and they say, look, you know, we can't come out, it's shoplifting, you're going to have to claim on the insurance. Businesses will be going bust. Honestly, guys, like that has the potential just to wreck everything. And then we're all going to have, like, you know, we're all going to be living in high streets with just vending machines because we can't have anything. We can't be trusted, can we? Because the British youth, you guys know what I'm talking about, right? We've got gangs, we've got desperate families, skyrocketing prices, protests that will inevitably turn violent. Now, the government are saying they are developing contingency plans of, you know, emergency measures, but the words on paper, they're not going to fill your fridge, are they? They're not going to fill your they're not going to get food on the shelves. So what I would say now is try and start planning for the 6 weeks holidays now. You may be rich. You may be rich, you may live on a farm, you may be self-sufficient. That's fine. You know, you're probably not, you don't need anything. You may live in an inner city, you know, that's, you know, prone to having tensions on the streets. These wars in the Middle East and Ukraine, they're no longer over there. They're hitting everyone now. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn TikTok off. I'm going to turn X off. I'm then going to jump onto the chat on YouTube. In fact, you know, I'll give it a little bit. Okay, so I am going to turn you guys off in a second, and I'll just be streaming on YouTube. And the rest, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some of the chat. I'm then going to talk about, you know, a practical guide to preparing for 6 weeks. And I know this is going to be like, you know, it's going to be more talking points than an actual guide, because everybody's situation is different, right? You know, everybody's going to be in a different situation. So, you know, if you say to someone, right, make sure you've got this, and they live next to a, I don't know, woods or something, and they're like, well, why am I going out and buying a load of wood when I live next to a woods? Oh, right. Okay. You know, everybody's situation is going to be different. So I'm going to give you guys, once I've closed TikTok and X, I'm going to give people just talking points on water, food, power, health, first aid, warmth, shelter, and communications. Excuse me. Right. So I'm going to jump onto the chat on YouTube. And then I will be closing everyone else down. It's all gone wrong. It's saying grow tomatoes, dehydrate, ground into powder. We for Shug is saying oil refineries all over the world are having accidents. Yes, they are. They absolutely are. Lots of oil refineries, lots of these places that create critical materials. They're all having accidents and going up in fire, aren't they? They're all being set on fire. Yeah, you're absolutely right. A lot of food producing places as well are accidentally setting on fire. Right, I'm going to turn you guys on TikTok. Oh, hang on a minute. Sad but baddie. I was just about to turn off, and sad but bad is saying, finally caught you live. Hello, Raven. Hello. I'm going to and Lisa's page is saying, hey, Sean. So for you guys on TikTok, I'm going to close you guys down, and I will just be streaming on YouTube. So I'm the Real Raven 1 on YouTube, and I'm the Real Raven 1 on X, but I'm closing those down as well. So, right. Are they off? No, maybe they're not off. Are they off? Are they off? Maybe they're off. Maybe TikTok just doesn't want to be turned off. Oh, there we are. Oh, no. What? Off. Giving me a promotion. What? Right, there we are. Off. Off. God, that was painful. That was painful. Right, so they're off. Right, let me turn X off. Right, and we are just streaming on YouTube. Right, okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to talk about, I'm just going to talk about some things that I think are, you know, relevant. Now, the UK government last year, I think it was before that actually, it might have even been like, I think it was like 22 or maybe even 23. The government have their own website now. It's called Prepare. Now, the government are focusing on having emergency supplies for 3 days, basically. I'm trumping that, guys. I'm saying right now, I think people need to brace for 6 weeks. And that is worst case scenario, obviously. 6 weeks is worst case scenario. Now, I mean the 6 weeks holidays, right? So we all know the kids are going to be off school. The carnage and chaos around the world is going to continue. And these things just ramp up. So those people, you know, just shoplifting is the easy one to hang on. Shoplifting is the easy one to visualize, right? So you will get an amount of people who are, I don't know, shoplifters, right? Shoplifters. That's what they do. That's how they roll. You also get an amount of people who are not shoplifters, but are financially struggling, right? And when those people flip and they say, right, do you know what? Why am I paying for this? Everybody's stealing. you're going to, and as the cost of living goes up, the cost of fuel goes up, literally the cost of everything's going up, except from your salary, right? Or your salary is going up and you think that you think that you've got more money, but you don't, because the price of everything's going up faster. So psychologically, you think you're better off, but your purchasing power's gone down. Yesterday, we were talking about how Britain has been downgraded. And we are getting, this has come out on the mainstream, Britain is getting poorer faster than any other developed country. Britain's taxes are going up faster than anywhere else in the world. And this is what happens, right? You put taxes up. People can't afford to employ people because the taxes are too high. So people close their businesses. When people close their businesses, that puts more people into unemployment, less people spending money in the shops, more people into shops go bust, more people into unemployment. Taking a step back, 10,000 feet up, the direction of travel is to get everybody on universal basic income, right? That's the direction of travel. Like everything, things happen slowly. There's not going to be a big bluster with the wars, right? With the wars, they don't happen. Nobody's ever going to stand up anymore and say, I, Keir Starmer, do hereby declare the state of the United Kingdom under His Majesty's government is now in an official state of war with country X. It's just not going to happen. Limited military operations that expand, mission creep, mission slip. Look at Iran. So these things happen slowly. So when I talk about universal basic income, I'm not going to talk about it now, but I am talking about it now, so I will continue. These are happening slowly. I think the statistics are now that I think over 8 million people are now claiming unemployment welfare money. I can remember the 2008 financial crisis. I remember watching the news. I think it was Faisal Islam, if you guys remember him. He was saying, unemployment, I think it's 3.5 million or something. And it was like a massive scandal. Unemployment had hit 3.5 million. We're now at over 8 million. This is pulling people on universal basic income. These things happen slowly. So I'm going to start talking about water, right? Which is the absolute priority. So if you've been following me for a while, 3 liters of water per person per day for drinking, that's minimum. That doesn't cover washing or cooking. So just for 6 weeks, think about the amount of water you need. That's almost, you need to be looking at like a ton of water per person for 6 weeks. So we're starting to think about the logistics now. I'm not saying that people rush out and buy that much water, because I don't think the water supply is going to go off, but it's certainly not going to go off for 6 weeks. However, we're heading towards the 6 weeks holidays, and that's what everybody should be getting ready for. So if you've got stored bottled water, just basics, store in a cool, dark place, keep it out of sunlight. If you've got any containers, fill those containers. Try and get some, what are they called? Go on, somebody tell me. It's not capsicum. Little tablets you put in. I've got some in the kitchen. I can't remember. Sanitization tablets, so there's no bacteria in there. Worst case scenario, you can fill your bathtub or I did a video like last year or something. Paddling pools, swimming pools, great water containers, and they're a lot cheaper than jerry cans or whatever. If you think about how bad our water supply chain is already, without all the craziness that's coming, if you think how bad our water supply chain is, it fails regardless, So think about the added complexities when the water supply has been, whether it's sabotage or whether it's whatever, it doesn't matter. But imagine and it's already it happens regular in the United Kingdom. Imagine the added complexities now, where the contractors the contractors that usually go out and fix that repair, they've gone bust because they can't afford the diesel for their vans. The water company didn't know that contractor, and this is how these things happen, right? And then the water company didn't know that contractor who they usually use to go out and repair their pipes had gone bust. So you get a burst water pipe, they phone, I don't know, Raven's pipe repair. And I'm like, yeah, we've gone bust, mate. The taxes, workers' taxes, workers' national insurance taxes, the price of fuel. I had to fold, mate. I had to fold. We don't do that anymore. Sorry. So how long is it going to take then to get someone else out? Consider rainwater collection as well. Nobody collects rainwater in the UK. Obviously, if you guys, you've got to then know how to purify it, how to, process your own water. Food. We all love food, don't we? We all love to eat. There's a channel on YouTube, right? I should have probably got a video, right? Right. So all I'm going to say is, right, I'm not telling anyone to eat out of date tinned food. All right. Go with the manufacturer's guides on that food, right? I'm not telling anyone to eat out of date food. What I am saying, right, full stop, what I'm saying is there's a channel on YouTube, right? And there's this guy and he eats all these old military rations. They're like, some of them are like 50, 60 years old, tinned goods. So that's what I'm saying. Things like rice, pasta, oats, they last for a long, long time. With your rice and pasta, you can cold soak them, so you don't need to heat them up. Flour, mashed potatoes, and get some protein in there as well. And try and get just work off what you would eat normally. And just try and see if you can get that in tinned goods. I love tinned goods, guys. I do. I love tinned goods. I'm not shy of cracking a cold tin of chicken in white sauce. I'm not shy of cracking a tin of chicken in white sauce, guys, and just sitting in my chair and eating that without heating it up. And all these long life products are, they're great. One thing for me, right, and I've actually started doing this. Coffee, right? I stress without coffee. Honestly, if I don't have my caffeination in the morning, I really start to stress. Your tea, chocolates. And one thing, gas. The price of gas is skyrocketing, right? So gas cylinders, we use these little... We use those. They're not the best value, but then what do you mean by value? The best value is obviously the big... I'm not bringing it. I've got one in there. Obviously, the best value is the big gas canister, right? It's better value. They're not practical. They're not practical to put in the back of the car. They're not practical to transport. They're not practical. They're not practical. These are a lot more practical. You pay. I think you can get 4 of these still for under £5. So gas, and fuel, make sure you can, obviously use it outdoors in a well-ventilated area. Camping stoves, barbecue, and wood. Every time, I don't know why people not as many people cook on wood. We've got, when it gets a bit warmer, I'll do all my cooking outside on wood, literally on wood. I don't mean barbecuing. I mean a fire and putting a pan on top of those flames. It's free. We're back onto a woods. I know not everybody's going to be in the same situation, but you've got to make the best of your own, whatever your situation is. And remember, try and look out for 6 weeks. 6 weeks. The 6 weeks holidays. I do think we've got those situations as well in the UK where, especially if you live near an airport or you're on the same grid as some critical infrastructure, where the power goes, where the power absolutely goes. We've already seen fires at very suspicious substations, right? I think there was a fire at a substation that took down, was it Manchester Airport? I think it was, I want to say Manchester and I want to say Stansted. It may have been both. It may have been one or the other. No, sorry. There was a theft at Manchester Airport. I don't know if you guys know this. There was a theft at Manchester Airport where a piece of cable, I don't know how long it was taken. That one piece of cable supplied Manchester Airport. Gone. Manchester Airport power gone. Backup generators. They didn't have diesel generators because they were going woke and they wanted to be net zero and carbon free. So the backup generators didn't work. Anyway, it was a disaster. And Stansted Airport, I'm pretty sure it was Stansted Airport in London. There was just a suspicious fire. A suspicious fire in Stansted Airport, and that took down the power to Stansted Airport as well. So we know these things happen, right? If you're asking me, I would say it was sabotage, although there's no official account. It's just, random fires at substations. And when we talk about substations, normally people don't set fire to their own substations, right? I know where my substation is. It's like that way, maybe take me maybe less than 10 minutes to drive to my local substation. I drive past it, most days. It's not protected. There's a fence around it, but anyone can get there. I'm not going to I wouldn't burn my, attack my substation because I'm going to be without electricity. And also my electricity bill is going to go up because that price is going to have to be factored in, right? But guess what? If you don't care about whether your electricity turns off because you will get extra money off the government, or if you don't pay your electricity bill, doesn't really matter if you set fire to that substation. So power. There's loads of products out there, guys. There is. Wood. Remember wood. Just everybody, guys. Wood is everywhere. Wood is everywhere. Everybody can get a little fire and get a little glow going, right, with wood. Obviously, batteries and torches and those wind-up things. Those wind-up things are fantastic, guys. I've got them on my my showcase on TikTok. Those little wind-up radios are phenomenal, right? Radio, obviously, for communications. Imagine it, my sister, it was when, I think it was I can't remember, maybe 2022 or 23. When we went through that very strange time where all these mobile phone apps and networks, they all started updating their, never happened before. It's not happened since, but they all started going down and not working. And people were saying, oh, it's third-party updates. It's a third-party update. And that's what brought down the network. It's like, all right, okay. My sister, bless her, she doesn't have anyone's phone numbers, right? And what was it? Is it Facebook Messenger? I think Facebook Messenger went down. She couldn't. She didn't know what was happening. She couldn't communicate with anyone. She thought the apocalypse had started. There are lots of these power banks and solar chargers available, and they're all great, guys. But whatever's in your budget, right? Literally, whatever's in your budget. Obviously, if you've got solar and you can afford it, that's great. And I think solar is the best option. It's expensive. You've then got to have batteries, and it becomes really pricey. Medication, right? A lot of our medication in the United Kingdom comes from China. It is, guys. It just comes from China. Now, earlier on in the live stream, what I was saying is, the go on. I always forget it. The Djibouti Strait. It's not called the Djibouti Strait, but the little patch of land, water between the what is it? The I think it's the Indian Ocean and the Red Sea that you go through Djibouti and Yemen. That's been essentially closed now. So any ships that wish to go through there, as in all the cheap stuff from China, where a lot of our medication is produced, that has to go the long way now. So yes, that will have a knock-on effect to the price, but it will also have a knock-on effect to availability, because they're not going to want to sail all the way around, because guess what? They have to sail all the way around and then they have to come all the way back empty, or however it works. But so they're going to want to get rid of those goods other places. So that's going to have an availability issue. I struggle talking about first aid. I really do, because I've done lots of, I guess it's not first aid. I've done lots of medical training, right? Lots of medical training, advanced trauma management, battlefield injuries. And I would never give a lesson. You need to have hands-on to be able to teach that stuff. You really do. If somebody's doing something wrong, you need to let them go wrong. Then you need to come and correct them. So it's very difficult. What I would say is, like, everybody should have at least some basic first aid, some basic first aid knowledge. The guy that got stabbed in London, he got stabbed in the leg. Now, that was a bleed out. I'm speculating. This is all the information I know. The only way you would die from a leg injury is a bleed out. Now, if you guys have watched Black Hawk Down, yeah, you have a huge artery in your leg. It's a femoral artery. If you can stop that bleeding, you can, if you know where to put pressure, apply pressure on those wounds, you can stop that straight away, because we need to accept and understand that, the emergency services may not come out. Warmth and shelter. Now, we are planning for this in the 6 weeks holidays, right? Where the weather's going to be nice. Now, the weather's nice, and we love the weather. We do. We love nice weather. The weather's a double-edged. It's a double-edged weapon, right? Because when it's nice weather, when it's hot, more people are going to be out on the streets, right? When more people are out on the streets, the likelihood of chaos and carnage, right? But you're not going to need a sleeping bag, because you're going to be relatively warm. Although we do live in the United Kingdom, and even in the summer, the nights get relatively chilly. So whatever you guys can do, just consider, warmth, shelter, if everything goes down. We live in a stone house, and for those of you who don't know, stone houses are fantastic, because when I first bought this, I was told that a stone house stays warm in the winter and cool in the summer. That's BS, guys, right? That's absolutely BS. It's freezing in the winter and it's absolutely roasting in the summer. So you just get the worst of both worlds, all right? Don't have a stone house. So communications, how do you talk to people? Your little gangs and your little networks and your little communities, first of all, word of mouth, talk, put a plan in place. Where do people meet? Where are people going to move to? I'm just giving you guys, I guess, talking points. Another thing that I've done this before, I'm not doing this now, is the hibernate, relocate, evacuate. Having a good plan in place, because while we're dealing with all these things, let's not forget that we are also heading towards civil conflict in the United Kingdom, right? So we're heading towards civil conflict in the United Kingdom, and you need to, you'll be hit by like maybe a triple whammy. So what's your communications plan in the military? You have a comprehensive lost comms plan and a comprehensive communications plan. Whatever that is, that's something that you guys need to talk about. So if you are going to, I don't know, okay, you probably do this yourselves anyway. So you say, right, I don't know, if you go into a shopping center with your kids, right, and you're going to be there anyway, and you say, right, okay, if for whatever reason I can't get in touch with you on your phone, meet here at this time, right? That's it. That's your lost communications plan. Write down your critical contacts. Obviously, I'm not going to say, don't write down everybody's, don't write down everybody's phone number. It's going to take forever. But on an actual piece of paper, do you have your mum's phone number, your dad's? Do you have, do people still use landlines? Write down email addresses as well. Because, if things really go bad, you're going to be sending emails to each other, guys. Trust me. And these emergency alerts on your phone, I know a lot of people have turned them off. I don't know why. I don't know why you would turn your emergency alerts off on your phone. Honestly, I have no idea. But I know people have. I wouldn't advise that. I would always say, like, have your emergency beacon on, right? You don't want to, has anyone seen the meteor hit the UK the other day? So, you don't want to be like that guy when there's an alien invasion or the apocalypse or the zombies or whatever, and everybody else has got a notification on their phone, and you're like, you don't want that. Maybe you want to get the information and pay lip service, say, yeah, I don't believe that, and go anyway. That's fine. But at least you have the information. Now, 6 weeks sounds like an overwhelming, an overwhelming concept, right? It's not. There's not going to be full run-outs. These things are going to happen slowly. So don't overwhelm yourselves. Things will happen slowly. Maybe this is just the start for you guys to have triggers, right? Have those triggers. Okay, so if this happens, I'm going to do this. And again, I don't know what those triggers are. Everybody's situation is going to be different. If you guys was on the live stream on last month, when on the night before this war started, right? In fact, actually, I did it before that. I did a couple of live streams, and I said, this is a trigger warning live stream, because I gave you those triggers. I said, right, if this happens, this is going to happen, and it's going to affect everyone. Now, this topic's so vast, I can't do that. But what I said is, I said, right, guys, if those airstrikes go in on the 28th, the price of fuel, it's just going to go constantly up. So if those airstrikes go in, that's your trigger to go and fill your fuel tank up. And I know some of you guys have done that, right? And you've saved a ton of money. And not only have you saved a ton of money, you're in control. You are in control. You're on the front foot. You're taking direct action rather than, you're being preemptive rather than reactive. So assess your house. How many people do you have? Pets, medical needs, any vulnerabilities, babies, elderly, disabilities. Try building this up in stages, Stage 1, I'm just going to get 3, I'm just going to have 3 days. Think about what the most likely scenario for you is. If you live in a big block of flats, the likelihood that if you live in a city centre, right? If you live in a city centre in a block of flats, the risk of the risk of that location running out of food in your local shop that you walk to is a lot higher than it is for me out in the countryside. It is. That's just the reality. Electricity. If the government had to choose, are they going to turn off the households in the in the countryside or the cities, they're going to turn the households off, right? So you have to think about where you live and, you know, what the most likely crisis is for you. But listen, guys, okay, just 6 weeks holidays are coming, right? This is what everybody needs to prepare for. Try and be as budget friendly as you can, okay? So don't go out spending a load of money. Don't, you know, try and do this slowly. But also consider that when this happens, prices are going to rocket. People will be bulk buying because there'll be Charles and Finlay and Tarquin who are just going and bulk buying everything. They'll probably throw half of that stuff away, right? And that's going to put the price up for everyone else. Maybe now's the time to learn skills, all right? Now, whatever those skills are, that's up to you. I would always say basic first aid, like for everyone, you know. Have you ever cooked on a stove? Have you ever cooked on a wood fire? Have you ever purified your own water? Do you know what shrubs and stuff to eat? I know I keep saying I'm going to do this. I do. Do you know what? I'm going to do it straight after this. Like, straight after this live stream, I'm going to drive. I'm going to get in my car and I'm going to drive and I'm going to book myself on that. There's a course and you go around and they teach you what shrubs and stuff to eat, like off the, like, you know, like it's a foraging course. I've never done that. I know a few things you can eat, but, you know, like en masse, I don't know. So I am going to drive now as soon as I finish this, because this is my trigger now. That's my trigger. I'm understanding now that because of what's it called, exercise turmoil or whatever it is, the government's secret meeting turned, what was it, Treadstone or something. So that's my trigger. I've just decided that's a trigger. I'm going to go and learn new skills. Why? Because, you know, the likelihood is we live near a woods, we live in the countryside. I want to go foraging, right? And think about the realistic perspective, right? I know I'm saying prepare for 6 weeks, but I'm not saying prepare for total apocalypse or to last for 6 weeks. I'm saying prepare for the 6 weeks holidays. Because that's when I think this disruption is going to happen. The government's very own advice from, what is it? Let me just jump up here. Their Exercise Turnstone, run by Cobra, was the government's emergency plan with senior officials, senior Downing Street officials, the Treasury, Ministry of Defence. They worked in a reasonable worst case scenario and they said this is going to hit June 2026. That's what they said. That's what they said, guys. And this comes from Exercise Turnstone. I'll share this with you guys now. Exercise Turnstone, the leaked plan amid threats of Iran war food shortages. I'm not making that up. I'm not making that up, guys. That's the government's own advice now. That's what the government are planning for. And I think they are soft releasing this. So everybody, you know, so some people, us, me, you, I'm going to go and do a foraging course now, understand what's coming, right? A leaked government document, and there's no such thing as leaked. They have released it. So this is, the crux of this live stream is a leaked government document codenamed Exercise Turnstone reveals contingency plan for a reasonable worst case scenario where the Iran war could cause food shortages at UK supermarkets. That's what the government are planning for. Right, I'm going to jump onto the chat, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to jump onto the chat. Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon. Band again is saying a Cambridge professor said grid down is 60% to the candy shop in 6 months. Digital Anarchy is saying If it goes mad, I would try to go somewhere remote like Scotland, like the Scottish High Lakes with lakes. I think you mean Scottish. Do you mean like the Scottish Highlands with lakes or the Lake District? Either way, I know what you're saying. Yeah, plenty of waters. Forage with the looters. Yeah. This is going to happen though, right? Because, okay, can you imagine the scene? Just imagine this scene, all right? David King, for entertainment purposes, right? Imagine this scenario, right? You're in your local supermarket, right? And everybody's going crackers, right? Everybody's going crackers because they know the food shortages are coming, right? So everybody's bulk buying, everybody's trolleys are, and then a bunch of link-ups come in. You know the link-ups, you know the guys I'm talking about, and they just start stealing everything, right? And running out with it. At what point does everybody else just think, I'm not paying either, and go out? Because I do think that will happen. I gave the example of Greg's, we've all seen the footage of, the people going into Greg's and just, looting. At what point do the normal people who are stood in the queue just think, why am I paying for this? I'm the mug now. I'm the idiot for paying. At what point do normal people think that? Sean, you in Scotland, Starman. See you in Scotland. All right, see you in Scotland, Starman. It's all gone wrong. He's saying we're already in 15-minute cities. Many just can't see. I think you're right. And you know how we've got these housing estates with all these new housing estates that are being built up. Do you know what's terrifying about those? All these new housing estates that are being built have one road. The same road you go in is the same road you come out on. Now, to me, that's terrifying, guys. That is absolutely terrifying, because that says you can just put one controlling person on that. I don't know. So there's 1,000 people or whatever, probably more, maybe more. I don't know. Say there's 1,000 people, right, living in one of these housing estates, right? In, I don't know, wherever you live, wherever you guys live, it's all gone wrong. Wherever you live, just imagine, because this is happening all over the country, right? And think about this when I'm talking about this. Wherever you live in the United Kingdom, these new build housing estates are being built. I was trying to think of another word for built, but there isn't one. Fabricated, maybe. And when you think about them, right, there's one road. So you drive in and you drive out on the same road, right? Now, if there's 1,000 people living in that housing estate, guess what? You put one security guard on that entry point for everyone's safety. For everyone's safety, though, and you control 1,000 people. I'll double this one up. We'll say it's, you use AI now. So now these housing estates, instead of having a physical person there, you just have an AI. You have an AI with facial recognition. For your safety. For your safety. It's for your safety, guys. It's for your own safety. So yeah, I think we are in seeing these 15-minute cities. Band again is saying Cambridge professor said the number one. Okay, so let me give context here. So Band again made a comment earlier and said that a Cambridge professor said that if the grid goes down, 60% fatalities within a year or something. And now he's saying the number one cause of going to the candy shop So the first one is water. I always say this, guys. Like, I've been stuck in the Middle East with no 2 liters of water. Oh, but Sean, you said 3 liters of water per person per day. You had 2 liters. Yeah, I had 2 liters. I drank that within about an hour. And the psychological effects were horrific. I didn't know when I was getting more water. I didn't know when somebody's going to come and pick me up. So water, yeah. The second one is people taking themselves to the candy shop. Third is crime, I guess, you know, civil war, right? And the fourth would be fighting. People just going hungry. Yeah, yeah. Rod Panhard is saying, I bought life straws for the water. I have a ton of bottled water. Yeah, so if you can process your own water, that's obviously miles better than bottled water, because, do you know, I moved a load of stuff into the house. I used to have these big 15-litre containers. Yeah, I agree. But then when does water go past its sell-by date? What is water's sell-by date? Because, you know, water in the streams, I'm pretty sure that's millions of years old. Remember that for Cleethorpes, Sean. Drought, keep Sean away from the tanks. Gorpmina is saying people might take out bridges to keep themselves isolated from the invading hordes from cities. Yeah, or at least checkpoints, right? And look, I know this is going to sound far-fetched, and it is. This is going to sound far-fetched, right? What I'm going to tell you has already happened, all right? In the United Kingdom, in 2024, people were putting up checkpoints and stopping access to certain areas. And they, you know, let me try and find this. I'm not going to try and find it. There was one in particular in Hull. And I never thought I would see these scenes in the United Kingdom. There was a checkpoint. There was a checkpoint in Hull, and somebody had filmed it on their phone, and they were stopping cars and dragging people out who didn't look like them, if you guys know what I mean. I'm not going to repeat the words that were being said, but I think that one incident shows the underlying tension in the United Kingdom at the moment. And all it's going to take is a little push. All it's going to take is a little push, guys, and everything's going to go. Yeah, I drink water all the time when I go in the countryside. You know, I drink it all the time. You know, the way I got taught to get water, right? Find it where it's free flowing. Go as high up as you can to that. Go as high up as you can to that spring. And get it where it's white, so where it's like going over a rock or something, and don't get water where it's stagnant. And I've never had a problem. I've never had a problem, guys. Look, that's not advice. That is not advice. I'm just telling you what I do, all right? I'm just telling you guys, I've drank water out of like becks and streams for a long time. And there's nothing wrong with me. Moving water, fresh. Yeah, so if you're going to collect water, okay, if you're going to collect water, always make sure you boil it, right? Don't do what I do and just drink it straight from the stream. If you get fresh water and you boil it for like a rolling boil for like 10 minutes, I'm pretty sure you'll be fine. I really am, guys. But then you need the fuel to be able to boil it, right? So, okay, let me just go down this one, right? So if you need water, right, and you live near a reservoir, you can get that water and it's fresh water. If you've got enough wood to boil that water on a rolling boil for like 10 minutes, I'm pretty sure that will kill everything. But check what you're doing before you do it, guys, okay? Check what you're doing before you do it. I don't think we need to go Bear Grylls. I don't think nobody needs to go Bear Grylls straight away. Right, listen, guys, I'm going to close this down. I've gone far too long. I've been going on for far too long. I only wanted this to be like 20 minutes or something. This is a Prepping 101 video, okay? The government are now... the government have leaked a secret plan, secret document that's been released by the government. It's called Operation I can't even remember what it's called. It's called Operation Exercise Turnstone, the leaked plan amid threats of Iran war food shortages. That's what the government are releasing. Now, in that plan, they're saying that the most likely worst case scenario is going to hit the United Kingdom by June 2026. I'm looking at this and I'm saying everybody needs to just be, maybe not even Prepping 101, maybe just be aware that the 6 weeks holidays are coming. And the government are prepping. The government are, well, they are. They've exercised Turnstone. Where this was a secret meeting leaked to the public where senior officials, Ministry of Defence, Treasury are looking at a reasonable worst case scenario for June 2026. Now, when you factor in the other things that are happening, like crime, gang crime, protests we're already seeing, cost of living, sabotage, asymmetric warfare, Iran now dominating the airwaves, but very soon, and let's nobody forget that the Ukraine conflict is still, moving forwards. I feel we're heading towards a perfect storm. Remember, 6 weeks holidays, guys. Prepare for the 6 weeks holidays. I'm not saying that, the kids are going to break up from school and boom, 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 everything's gone. What I'm saying is just try and be aware of what's coming. Right, I am going to close this down, guys. I'm going to close it down. You guys are fantastic. I'm going to go now. I'm going to go now to the foraging thing because that's my trigger. I'm going to close this down now. I'll be back on this afternoon, guys. This evening at 8 o'clock. And if I'm not on during the day, I'll be back on at 8. If you've not done so already, please make sure you hit those buttons down below. Like, comment, subscribe, bell notification. And I bid you good afternoon, and I'll see you guys later.